I'm Grayson Sharp. I'm 29 years old, and through grace, God redeems. I spent the first 18 to 20 years of my life living under a technically Christian household. My family was very good to me, very happy. They never forced anything upon me. They let me make my own decisions. And we ended up going to a lot of churches that were, we'll say, unnamed megachurches that taught a lot of prosperity gospelship and legalistic gospelship, I think whether they meant to or not. And it left me with a lot of questions, and a lot of questions that could not be answered. Or I didn't even know how to ask said questions. And so I left the church angry, very angry. That was like the first 18 to 20 years of my life. I left the church angry and cursed God, cursed the church, cursed Christians. I absolutely hated everything that they stood for because I believe that they power structure for manipulation and control. I realize now that that was not true. About after high school, I met a woman who introduced me to a haunted house, and there we made a lot of friends, and all of which I would still consider to be having been really good friendships, and I wish the best in the world for them. That friendship grew, that group of friends grew to be much more. Because we were all in a haunted house, we all really enjoyed Halloween, and so we grew to be definitely more than a friend group, and we started getting into witchcraft and the occult. For about 8 to 10 years, I was pagan. There were 9 of us in that group. 2 of us were pagans, 7 of them were witches. If it didn't involve outright animal blood sacrifices or outright orgies, I've done it. Everything up to those. I've used my own blood in rituals. I've used other people's blood in rituals. And we have gotten dang close to outright orgies. And, you name it. I've at least tried it. Oaths, rites, rituals, divinations, summonings, conjurings, even what I would think would be, what are they called? Where you're exorcisms? Yeah, I've used Ouija boards, tarot cards, rune stones, seeing eyeball, scrying crystals, everything you can think of. I've tried it. And after a very long time, I had multiple partners. I was dating a girl, and together we were in a polyamorous relationship with a trans guy. So I had multiple partners. I had a good steady income, good money. It wasn't a lot, but it was steady and strong. And I had lots of friends, and we took every occasion that we could to party and drink and practice witchcraft and occultism. But over time, things started happening. Like the coven broke apart. I realized that I had been dating these people for like 5 years. I should think about marrying them. And so I really thought about it, and then I realized that I was not a happy camper at all. I decided things needed to change. And so I broke up with them. I'm still somewhat in contact with some of the people from the coven, just as friends, because I don't want to lose a possible connection to them that could lead to something good. But I do not practice that anymore. In any case, I left that group and decided to go to college. In college, had a series of short flings, and then I met a woman who changed my life. Through her and through her mother, I met God. I've never met someone who is more perfectly suited, like a magnet, to draw me in, to get me closer to God. And at the time, I was still pagan. I was still very much angry with Christians. I still very much hated that entire world. And it was interactions with her and her mother that drew me in. Her mom, I have never met someone who emulated Christ like her. Despite the facts that I was openly pagan, that I was openly practicing witchcraft, that I was sleeping with her daughter, that we were having arguments constantly, that we were in the middle of like breakups and get-togethers all the time. I never met a woman who showed Christ's love for me like she did. Despite everything, she showed love to me, loyalty to me. And her own daughter in ways that I still can't quite emulate myself, though I wish I could. The first time that I prayed after meeting that woman was angry. Oh, so angry. I was sitting in my car driving home from something I was doing and like screaming at the roof of my car at traffic lights. Just screaming like, God, if you're real, show yourself to me. Somehow, make it happen. Because I wasted 20 years of my life on this. If this is real, I need you to prove it. Because I am not wasting more time on this. It took about a month. And the mother gave me a prayer to say. She said, you should pray for the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and to help my unbelief. It took about a month of praying, and he showed up in a way that I can't refute or rationalize or argue against. Now, I thought he was going to show up and like writing his name in fire across the sky one night or something like that, but it was much more subtle and yet all the more impactful because of it. The first book that they had me read was a book called On Love by Rob Bell. That book explained to me what true love looked like. Not romantic love, I'm talking like biblical, Jesus kind of love. What that really looks like, what that really feels like. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm into it. And I remember thinking like, okay, and I got to read the book, right? I got to read the Bible at this point. And so I went and I talked to the woman and the mother about this. And I was like, I need the book. I need the book. Like I couldn't even say the word Bible. It was that like torn within me. And so they prayed about it. And the next time I saw him, the woman gave me this Bible that was falling apart. It had no cover on it. The binding was broken. It was like just paper in a stack, basically. And I remember her handing it to me like that. And I took it. And it wasn't physical, but I felt like the book had weight. Like a dump truck weight in it. And I just remember thinking like, this object has done amazing and powerful things. So I took it home and I rebound it in leather, and I started reading. And I had read through the first 4 books of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. And I went and had breakfast with the mother and the husband. We started at like 8 o'clock, and I was like, okay, yeah, I got a couple questions. We'll get through this, good quick brunch. Then I'll go home. 11:30 rolls around, and we're still there, and I still have gotten through maybe like half my questions. So I was like, I got to use the restroom. So I stand up and I come back, and the mother has this look on her face like the president said she needs to throw her shoes across the road to save the world. She's just like, okay. And she looks at me and she's like, I feel like I got to tell you about this dream that I had last night. Let me know if it means anything to you. I'm like, all right, this ought to be good. And she tells me about this dream. She's standing in her apartment, and I'm standing in her apartment with her, but I'm faced away from her, in front of her. So she walks up behind me and pulls me by the shoulder and turns me around. Grayson, what are you doing here? And in my hands, I have a knife. and my own beard, and I'm aggressively shaving it off, and I yell in her face at full volume, my name's not Grayson, it's Philip. And it bolts her out of a dead sleep. It's like 2 a.m. She's like, what in the world was that? Grabs her Bible, looking through it. Nothing on the name Philip is jumping at her, like it means anything to her. And so she's like, okay. And she just grabs her phone and Googles Philip, name, meaning. And it means lover of horses. And then she says to me, does that mean anything to you? And I was dumbstruck. You see, during my years as a pagan, I had chosen for myself a soul name. The first of which is the Norse Viking version of lover of horses. How could she have possibly have known that? Just the sheer number of coincidences. Why would she have had that dream? Why would she feel the need to tell me about it? Why would I be in that dream? Why would I say the Hebrew version of the name lover of horses? And how could she have possibly have known that that would have meant something to me? And the answer is, she couldn't. That was God. And I explained this to her about my soul name. And she bursts into tears while hysterically laughing and points at this book that was on the table with us. And she says, Isaiah 43. Go look it up. I'm terrible at memorizing, but it goes something like this. Thus says the Lord, he who created you, O Jacob, he who formed you, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed you out of witchcraft. I have summoned you by name, literally, in the dreams of someone else, because you are mine. Why? Because I love you. And since that day, I've been all in. Since that day, I've had periods of irrational, illogical periods of peace. My relationship was falling apart. Money was short. I was getting my butt kicked by school. All these things were happening, and yet I just felt like everything was going to be okay. And I know a lot of people struggle with it, but for me, I feel like it's easy to just trust God. In a way, it's kind of like just being lazy. Or I'm just like, yeah, God's got this. Like, I hope he does. But I've learned to just trust in God, to just let him have it. And since then, I've had these periods of irrational peace that make no sense. I got invited to Trace, first by Lillian and Jacob. If you guys are watching, shout out to you guys. You're awesome. And then I got invited again by the mother and the husband. And so I went, and that first time, there was a lot of things about Trace that reminded me of the old church that I had gone to. And at first it was really uncomfortable. But I realize now that God was using Trace to heal the wounds that had been done by those other churches. So the things that were similar to those other churches about Trace are still somewhat in the process and have been healed.